Okay, we'll check my connectivity now. So far, so good. It's just glitchy where I live. So, could today, and I just want to insert this too, that if this is not your experience, there's a million variables in there. Your particular relationship to this card. Okay, Six of Diamonds is my, since I'm the Seven of Diamonds and the Nine of Hearts, it's my moon card. So I'm very familiar with these energies. The protection of, let's see, Six of Diamonds, it got the protection of the Three of Spades, which is a really powerful card. Okay, so I was talking about infinite consciousness. And this is just an insight that I just came upon while I was talking, and that's how the cards work, right? This insight about, okay, when you have an ending, a nine, let's talk about nines for a minute. Like I had a friend that was like, oh my God, I've looked ahead in the book and there's a nine in my, 42nd year, a nine of hearts. Does that mean my marriage is going to end? And it's like, girl, you're not there yet. Let that go. We tend to look at nines endings with a lot of fear. But that's because we have attachments. I need this relationship. I need this belief. Nine of clubs. I need this value system, or, I need to believe something, or this needs to stay important to me, or this way of doing things. A nine can come in and chop that off. And then we're like, oh, what are we after we get over the shock of the end of a relationship? I'm open to infinite love. Anything is possible. When the Nine of Clubs, somebody points something out and a belief ends, and you're like, oh, I have another perspective on that. You let go of an old belief, and maybe it's a little jarring for a while, but then you're like, wow, what else is true? This is a superpower, letting go of an old belief or an old value. So Nine of Clubs, really being in that intersection of Jupiter and Mercury, is very powerful to open yourself up to infinite consciousness. So this Six of Diamonds day, maybe we could make it about letting go of whatever. Okay, so yesterday was a big trigger day for a lot of people that I know, myself included. Can you just get up and be like, forget about it? Just let that go. And if you can't, that's fine. If you need to be about what yesterday was about, that's okay. But make sure that it's not just a bleed over. It's like when I'm putting my clothes away, there's a part of me that's like, well, I might want to wear that sweater tomorrow. Maybe I should leave it out. And the lesson I've learned is don't make a decision for tomorrow, Paula, with today, Paula. Let tomorrow, Paula, decide for tomorrow, Paula. You give her a clean slate. Put it all away. Put away the ideas, the clothes, the attachments. This is how my life should be. Put it to bed at night, and the next morning, you get to choose again. Some days are much easier than others to do that, and I offer the possibility that today is one of those days. Okay, this is another really fun thing to look at. So the Six of Diamonds, if you back up to the Moon card, it's the Eight of Clubs. So Six of Diamonds people, typically, I'll just ask them, did you have a really repressive family of origin, like a really solid foundation, but it was rigid, like a military family or a religious family? And they're like, yes, or narcissistic, super dysfunctional, but this is the way it was, Well, that's the Eight of Clubs fixed nature, right? But what's the spiritual truth? What's the essence of that card? And what I've come to find is that it's like a bridge. I talked about this in my talk yesterday. It's like, because it's the same in this card spread as this card spread. I think of them as levels. You have subterranean access to this whole other world with the Eight of Clubs, and that's true of the King of Spades and the Jack of Hearts. Gives access to the spiritual realm, to like the blueprint of perfection, as it were. So if that's a bridge, and that's the Moon card of the Six of Diamonds, then maybe what can give us emotional support today is the access you have to divine consciousness, to last time you died and you went to the light. And okay, I might have a mission. I don't know. I'm testing this out to see if it lasts. If it lasts more than a couple of days, it's a thing for me. And it occurred to me that like this Queen of Spades energy came into me, into my field. Hi, Mara, sweetie. I was getting acupuncture. And this was on the Eight of Diamonds day when there was this nexus around the Ace of Spades for some reason. Oh, and that's a whole other thing I want to talk about that I've just learned. Hi, Tanisha. Each day gives you a little nugget to take into the next day that can be medicine. So if you can, Robert Camp just dropped this little nugget at that workshop. He's like, it's progressive. Which means, it's like now I'm plugging that in and I'm like, okay, what I got on the Eight of Diamonds day was the Pluto of Eight of Diamonds is the Ace of Spades, which is graduate into a defined sense of self. I get to have myself. And the nugget that stayed with me on the Eight of Diamonds day is you get to keep your energy. You don't have to give it away. And as the Seven of Diamonds, I'm always giving it away, right? And as women and as light workers, we're always giving it away. And that Eight of Diamonds, that's why I nickname it the asshole card, because it's like you're allowed to be an asshole. In this culture of caretakers, you're considered an asshole if you set a boundary. If you're like, I'm not going to give you my energy today. And that's a poster child lesson for all of us. I get to hold on to my energy today. I get to say no to you. So I took that nugget into the Seven of Diamonds day. And even though I was like so, effed up in my head, and it was a really hard day full of triggers and oversensitivity and all my old money issues coming up, and I was like, I get to hold on to myself today. So the trio, us, I love it. My Clubhouse girlfriends. So today, what's the nugget that we take from the last? I'm watching myself. What's the nugget that I get to take into today? So yesterday, I had to surrender to trust. And I was like, okay, I'm being given a realistic picture of here's the money reality. Not like I'm all up in my fear about it, but here's mom. Here's dad. Here's the shitstorm I got. How am I recreating that? And then it's like, but what's real? And I came out the other end of it with this like realistic, I think I'm going to be okay. And there's my faith, and this morning I take that nugget of faith and trust. And I'm like, Jesus, I let go of yesterday. Just completely let go of it. And I receive what you have to give me. I'm going to go back into magical thinking. Like it's a thing that I do, but it's also like a secret weapon. It's like, ooh, pull out that inner child joy. And that Nine of Clubs under the Six of Diamonds, that's giving me the capacity to let go of my beliefs yesterday. And then that Eight of Clubs in the moon position is like what grounds me emotionally is my memory, my soul, whatever we want to call that eternal part continues on after we die. We can remember that. Okay, so now I'm coming all the way back around to the Eight of Diamonds day, laying on the acupuncture table with all these needles in me and, all up on my right side because I'm afraid of moving forward. So the right side of my body is like, oh, we're scared. So I'm laying there and this Queen of Spades energy comes in and she says to me, what do you want? And I was like, whoa, Queen of Spades usually doesn't ask you what you want. She usually asks you, what are you not looking at? She's the taskmaster, the disciplinarian. And she said, what do you want? Like it was a big ask. And I said, what I really want is for everyone to have access to their divine, eternal soul, like lifetime transiting. I remember being one with God, consciousness. I want everyone to have access to that consciousness, like closed circuit TV. Cut out the internet, cut out the matrix. I get this closed circuit between me and God. My eternal self remembers. I just got mind wiped. That's all. But I have access to these memories. And I was like, that's what I want. Because I used to say, if I had one wish for everyone on the planet, it'd be that they could have a near-death experience so that they could know how much they're loved. And you guys, if you don't know how much you're loved, go to Jeff Mara on YouTube, M-A-R-A, near-death experiences. It might strike you as just a little bit corny how he conducts his interviews, because he has a formula, very straight up formula, and he sticks with it. He says like this script that he says at the beginning. But then all these people who have had near-death experiences come on and they share really, really phenomenal things. And then you get the vibrational frequency of infinity. And you're like, oh, I forgot to think about it vertically. I was just thinking about it horizontally. And we all have access to that. And that's why it's not hierarchical. You know, there's no guru, there's no teacher, there's no expert. We all have, I mean, there is, you know, but we all have equal access. So that was my 8 of Diamonds day. That's what I want for people. And so on my regular channel, if you just go to YouTube, Paula Kruger, it's just my name. I led a guided meditation, and it's pretty short. And it is about you getting access to this. Like, there's 2 of you. There's your eternal self, and then there's your human self. And you locate yourself in the eternal self, because we typically don't do that enough. We're usually mostly located in the human experience and being all blind and freaked out. And like, that's why we're here, right? To have the adventure of coming back to love, coming into consciousness. Like, that's fun. I think that's why we're doing this. But the eternal self is this repository of infinite knowledge, and we all have access to it. And in this era of finding our sovereignty and not being defined by this freaking matrix, telling the world, I remember who I am, and I'm here to help you remember who you are. That's the ultimate red pill. So we have the whole Jupiter line today. If we want to just look at it straight up, what is the 6 of Diamonds about? What do I want to invite into the field? A lot of things are going off in my head about the 6 of Diamonds. I have a lot of them in my life. But the fact is, they're in the Jupiter line, so you get a dose of what's possible today. There might also be a danger of like making something bigger than it is. You know, that's Jupiter. Let's make it bigger. I'm trying to think of what your cards are and how this relate. Oh, thank you, Rikara. You just read my mind, or I read yours. 6 of Diamonds is your Neptune card. And your mom is a 6 of Diamonds. My sister-in-law, my favorite person in the world, is a 6 of Diamonds. We just got off the phone. So as a Neptune card, maybe that's one thing that makes that King of Hearts so like kind and optimistic, is because you see into this realm of possibility, what's possible. So, okay, here's one of my favorite things. I'm just going to stay in the positive. One of my favorite things about the 6 of Diamonds is that the Ace of Hearts, oh, that is really interesting, because like, yes, they're dear and sweet. They're so like kind. If they gain a level of mastery with their Saturn card, God, my hair is whacked today. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. The Ace of Hearts is their Saturn card, and that represents the inner child. And I have met 6 of Diamonds who are out of touch with their inner child, and therefore they could be kind of a mess. And their job is to integrate 2 polarities. All 6s are like, I'm really this, but I'm also really this. And so that Ace of Hearts is where it all comes together in the inner child. Like, there are certain 6 of Diamonds who have, and you can look up some famous people who have a very dark shadow, meaning they never integrated. and they got so far apart that this part didn't know what this part was doing. They had like split personality. That's the extreme manifestation. But if they're integrating these two sides, it comes together in healing the inner child. And my sister-in-law gained this incredible mastery with inner child. And like she'll be the one in my voice if I call her up and I'm in a crisis. She's like, "How's your little girl? Do you need to write her a letter and tell her that you're going to take care of her?" Even if you don't think you can, just the intention makes all the difference. The two sides of the Six of Diamonds. Thanks for that question, Denise. I think that it's more. Okay, I'll just give you an example, but this, and this is kind of true of the entire Jupiter line. Anyone in the Jupiter line, and I don't know why, but I've noticed they have these polarities. I'm really this, but I'm really that. Like, for example, and this is true for the Six of Clubs too. I think I was with one for a long time. Like, I'm really, like, he was really into substances, but he was also extremely disciplined and regimented. Like, they can be, we have to go by the rules, but then they're rebels and rule breakers, and they like to go against the grain. Or they can be like really logical, but really emotional. It's more of a right brain, left brain thing. And it can become dark and light. And I'm thinking of two famous people, but I'm not going to say who they are because I don't want to rattle anyone's cage if you don't actually know what's going on with those people. Yeah, it's very paradoxical. And I think that that must be really hard for them sometimes. So the Ace of Hearts is a pivot. The Ace of Hearts can be a pivot where they can be like, okay, if I do the hard work of asking myself how I feel, how does my little girl feel, and this vulnerability, that's really hard because they have an 8 in their moon, which says, as long as I'm in control, I'm safe. If you have an even card, a power card as a moon card, control will be an issue. I need things to be just so. If it's an odd card, you're more likely to be sensitive and intuitive with your feelings. You can also get lost in them. Yeah, the two sides in your mom. Ooh, it can be so tricky, right? And my daughter said to me in high school, she's the 8 of clubs and the 10 of diamonds, December 10th. And one day in high school, she goes, I don't know which one I am. She's a 4, so she goes into crisis. And she's like, I don't know which one I am. And I'm like, you're all of them, honey. It's okay. Yeah, and that 8 of clubs is a magical card, which can give them access to some amazing stuff. But they can also be, in the extreme, very emotionally distorted and like scary. I normally don't go into the dark realm, but every once in a while someone crosses my path, like a famous psychopath or something. And I'm like, oh, that's the formula for that one. But the other pivot for a 6 of diamonds is the 5 of hearts as Pluto. So here's their 6 of diamonds, their 5 of hearts, Pluto. Freedom, I got to get away, I got to disappear, I need to ghost everyone. Are the 6 of diamonds flaky? Do they ghost you? Are they unreliable? If that's the Pluto coming out, that's the part of them that's speaking the truth. I need to not be accountable to everybody for a minute. I had 2 6 of diamonds say to me in the same 24-hour period, and always, when you hear these things with the cards, your ears perk up and you're like, oh, I need to pay attention to that. 2 of them said the exact same words to me. Sometimes I just want to get in a car and drive. Just go, be free. So if they're not consciously doing the self-care and taking the alone time, going away, being separate, they will steal it with their shadow. So they'll have an affair. They'll have secret life somehow. It can be violent at home and nobody knows about it. They're like, oh, it's this nice person. I don't know. But they need the independence, get away. So I think, is that LLL? Is that LOL? Typo? I don't know. Let's talk about the Three of Spades. Okay, my sister-in-law is an unusually strong soul. Oh, she says that all the time. Get me out of here! Just I totally hear that. Um, so anyway, my sister-in-law is one of the most evolved. Like, she's not free of the trappings of the Six of Diamonds, but she bit off a lot. Super narcissistic family, really, really dysfunctional, and a bunch of weird sexual shit going on. Oh, your 5-year-old daughter? Let's talk about the Three of Spades. But she established, it's in this book called Parent Effectiveness Training, and it's okay, good, we'll talk about Three of Spades. Ugh, big deal. So I'm going to finish this thought. The parent, adult, child ego state. It's like the id, the ego, and the super ego. It's like your inner child, your inner parent, and your adult, which is mediating everything. Like when you're speaking in a calm, clear voice and you feel present, that's your adult. And if you're in this should and you're like kind of in fear and you're kind of like, kind of a bully, or the healthy parent is, it's bedtime. Come on, honey, let's go to bed. Like, I need to strengthen my parent voice inside. The child is like, sometimes when we talk in a higher voice with our partner and we're like, hey, do you want to go for a beer? It's like, that's the inner child begging for something, or I've got a really healthy relationship with the inner child. But anyway, these three ego states, she developed the ability to differentiate between them and became her own mother at a very young age. And it created an independent, self-sourcing, soothing, really healthy in a lot of ways. So she manifested the Three of Spades. And this is another formula that I've come up with that may or may not be true. We have an 8 of clubs in the house. Claudio, hello. Wow, that is crazy. You're supposed to be here, right? That's always how it happens. So and test this out. It's the Mystic Test book. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Same root word. The card on top of you, think of it as this thing you have to like get up off your back and move through. Like an accomplishment of some kind. Because I've seen very few 6 of Diamonds manifest the 3 of Spades in that it's the artist card. I will bring forth that which is original and arising from my soul out into the world as form. That's art. And it can manifest as being a gardener or a contract painter or a portrait painter. Art is what comes out of our soul and we turn it into, the physical. So I've also named it the actuator card. So the actuator, Jupiter and Saturn together, it's that intersection. It is the most optimistic and positive, overcoming vibration in the horizontal Saturn line because it's Jupiter, right? So everyone in the Saturn line is going to have some measure of super dysfunctional family stuff. It's a tough line to be born into. You've bitten off a lot. They're all odd cards, which to me says internal work. So the 3 of Spades stands alone as this, it's going to be okay, everybody. They're overflowing with optimism. So the 3 of Spades that I know, this is kind of an extreme example, but I was her youth pastor at one point. I was like 23 and she was like 12, so it wasn't a big age division. And then I was in Bible study with her parents. It was so much fun at that age to be with all these other couples. And then that Bible study group broke up, and then that couple separated. Melanie, the 3 of Spades, her parents separate, and then her dad shoots her mom dead. And then the sheriff comes out and shoots the dad. She lost both parents on the same day at age 12 or 13. And she's the most amazing person I know. She started she left town and then came back in her 30s. And it was like, oh my God, Melanie, we're crying in my friend's kitchen, reuniting. And she started this yoga center called Be Free Healing. And she's like, oh my God, Fort Collins, you need like, it's like kind of conservative and straight here. And so she's like, you people got to be free up. You got to free up. And so she does holotropic breath work and these amazing workshops. And she's really grounded, but whatever she decides to do, she can do it. And so she chose that, and she was equipped to deal with it. And she's come through it with this incredible medicine for people. So they're the overcomers, they're the actuators. Okay, now let's dial it back a little bit. They can be charming, and that can be their, they can use that and misuse it, especially the men. Like if you look at a list of famous men who are the three of spades, they're like Gregory Peck and oh, this other really good-looking guy, Ryan Gosling. I can't stand him now. Like he's just a stuffed shirt in my mind. And so they can be the real deal like Gregory Peck, or they can be kind of hollow and charming, using the Jack of Spades energy to get what they want. But the if you know a three of spades, don't ever, ever compare yourself to them. They've got their own challenges, but the energy of Jupiter, divine Jupiter, and horizontal Saturn, Saturn contracts and Jupiter expands. And if you have contraction, expansion, you have an engine. You've got the cheerleader who's like, you can do this. And then you've got the coach who's going to be like, you got to work on your jump shot. Let's be realistic. You can do it. Let's be realistic. And with that internal combination, oh my God, we usually err on one side or the other of those. And the three of spades have it both. Why does the King of Hearts say that the six of diamonds should have to get off their shoulders, please? I think, okay, beneath. Yeah, that's a perfect profile. Like he really did have that ministerial thing for real, because the seven of spades in his, that's the minister or the high priest in Neptune. Okay, so when I said below, I think I'm putting together what you're saying, Denise. The King of Hearts, I'm not talking below like this way. I'm talking like in the same position here. So to answer that question, to get it up off of your shoulders, it's like this achievement. It's like this thing that's sitting on you until you like come out from under it and actuate it. So for you, if you're the King of Hearts, I would look over here and say, okay, what's sitting on top of you? And we call it a blessing, or the Ms. Diamond calls it the like the protection. But that nine of spades, I would propose, is an achievement, which means you have to deal with death. You have to take the largest possible contextual picture you can. King of Hearts do tend to be a little committed to what they believe. Little rigid, little passionate, a little fixed with that four of clubs in Mars. Also, it's Mars Jupiter, so it's like, my beliefs rule the world. I'm right about everything. And they usually are, but sometimes they're not. So that nine of spades sitting on top of them is like, if I were to study near-death experience, if I were to study the mystical, if I were to go into this realm where there might be something there that I don't see, it's bigger than me. That's the way I'm framing it right now, because I have a brother who's the King of Hearts who's like that. And then we came to this place of division where it's like, I don't see things the way you see them. And he literally lost his shit on me for 20 minutes. Like, I don't believe it. I'm sorry that I talk that way. I want to address that. I'm really good at pretending that I'm African American, and I've always been that way. And I think it's because I vividly remember a couple of past lives where I was. So my dearest wish is to not offend anybody. And if I am, I'm really, really, really sorry. But I tend to channel who I'm with. So I might do that. Like, I can't help myself. I'm really sorry. Okay. I have a different view about the card that on top of the other cards. I look at the card on top of me as the crown. Ooh. And I would continue that and say, can you inherit the crown? Okay, the king. Oh, the crown. I see what you're saying. So the King of Hearts would crown the Six of Diamonds. I love that. Thank you, Rikara. Just like that's going to stay with me all day. Like I worry about offending people. That is such a huge load off my shoulders. This has been a background thought in my mind for the last 5 days or so. It's like, you're probably offending people. So thank you. Thank you. I love that. Let's try out your formula. So if I'm the 7 of Diamonds, my crown would be the Ace of Clubs, which would be self-knowledge. And I'm all about that. And I would say, can you inherit your crown? Because there's like some 7 of Diamonds that don't want to look at their shit, right? And if they don't, you guys were talking about those in one of the clubhouse rooms yesterday, how you like, know a pedophile who's the 7 of Diamonds, and you're like, the refusal to inherit the crown, the closed crown, maybe that would be. So if the King of Hearts is the crown to the 6 of Diamonds, that would be my sister-in-law and your mom, Tanisha. It's like graciousness, kindness, mastery in the arena of love. Like my sister-in-law knows when to say what. I call the King of Hearts playing chess with love. Like there's strategy. I know when to speak, when not to speak. I know what words to use. I'm going to be intentional in my relationship with this person. That's how I would say it's the crown. So the 9 of Clubs sits on, okay, yes, the 9 of Clubs is under the 6 of Diamonds. Okay, so I see this as sitting on top of this. So under means like under this way, like if it were like this. So under the 6 of Diamonds is the 9 of Clubs. And that's what I started off talking about all of this as the 9 of Clubs, because for a long time, I called it the soul card. I've departed from Robert Camp's teachings, which is good and bad. There's certain fundamental things I may have forgotten that are valuable, but I've also kind of shot off in my own direction. I try these things out, and that's what we're supposed to do with the cards. Test it yourself. So yeah, that 9 of Clubs under it, I see that as when it sits under you. Well, the way I've experienced it, let's just put it this way. It's something that you mastered in a past life, and you may or may not still be working on that. Some people have got it under their belt, and they emanate that card that's under them. They're sitting in the position of. And other people, they don't have it at all. So, it's what you bring to it. Timing magic with Lisa. Hi, fairly new. Okay, you're a King of Spades. I love it. My mom was the King of Spades. You meet so few of them. Okay, thank you for being with us, Timing Magic with Lisa. Is that the name of your channel? So you're Lisa? Oh, you're welcome, Denise. This community is so, I was given a vision. Okay, there came this moment. And it was after 16 years of study, and don't let that dissuade anybody, because time and every evolution's really sped up. But after 16 years of study, I was sitting at Panera, and I might have my original book here somewhere. I've gone through 3 books. My daughter has my newest one in Portland, and she keeps forgetting to bring it to me. So I have this ratty old one. Anyway, I wrote down this experience. Somebody came through from the other side. Yeah, you are rare. Someone came through from the other side and said, you're in, meaning the card people on the other side. And maybe it was only Richmond. I don't know. I don't know how this works. I'm pretty well acquainted with the anatomy of the other side, sort of. But anyway, they said, you're in, and we're going to start channeling stuff to you. And I saw they showed me each one of the face cards. It was crying of the kings. And normally we think of the kings as all big and intimidating and powerful. And, and that's misused in our culture. The Matrix will misuse the cards. But what they showed me is all these kings were crying. And they said, we are humbly in service to the suit we represent. And the younger people are, the more tender and sensitive and open they are to the fact that, okay, when someone is our leader, they're technically our public servant. The president works for us. He should. He's supposed to. We pay him. He is our servant. And so we've got that all flipped. in this world, because that's what this world does, flips everything. So what the truth of the kings are is that they are in service to that suit. So the king of spades would be in service to the spades. It's tricky. It's tricky to talk about the king of spades because, number one, they're super rare. And number two, I mean, it's the master card of the deck. So what do you have to say about that? I mean, it's fascinating conceptually. Okay, here's a big, huge thing. Thanks, Denise. There's a big, huge thing I figured out about king of spades people in particular. Composite cards. When you add your card to someone else's card, like say the ace of hearts is one, the two of hearts. So it adds up to 3 because they all have a numeric value, 1 through 52. So it comes to the 3 of hearts, and that's their composite card. The king of hearts is 52. So what that means is when I'm with my mom, who was the king of spades, I'm the 7 of diamonds, which is 33. So I add 33 to 52. And then you subtract 52 to get down to a number that's between 0 and 52. So you end up with the card that you started with. So my mom's and my composite relationship was my card, the 3 of hearts. I'm sorry, the 7 of diamonds. Do you guys get that? Okay, Lisa, no matter who you're with, the composite energy of your relationship will be the other person. It doesn't mean you lose yourself. I don't know, you might. My mom kind of lost herself with other people, lost herself in her marriage, and she was angry about that. She was angry all the time. And I think she was mad at herself for losing herself. But I watch her in her relationship with my brother, and she morphs to him. Her relationship, like I used to think, oh, she's really like that, and she's lying to herself about who she is when she's with me. It's like, no, she morphed herself to me. So yeah, you're reflecting that other person. A king of spades has that. Just think about like God. God needs nothing from you. And God shows up and says, I see you as you are. I know you completely. Better than you know yourself, of course, and I hold you all completely in your wholeness. The king of spades has the capacity to do that. 7th house sun, that's relationship, right? House of Libra, and lots of Capricorn, Aquarius, Saturn. Kind of a newbie myself, an amateur with, oh, lots of Capricorn. Okay, so do you guys know too that the 12 court cards rule the 12 months of the year? I don't know if I read this or figured it out, but okay. The king of spades rules January. So anyone born in January is going to have, Capricorn, spades, king of spades. It's kind of a personality thing. February is ruled by the queen of spades. And I applied this all the way down to the Jack of Hearts ruling December. That's the Christ card ruling the month of Christmas. It's just interesting. It's like, whoa, that resonates. Crazy. Okay, I'm going to tell you one other thing. I always say that, and then I go for another hour. One other thing about the circle of 7. So, Lisa, we're circle of 7. Oh, sorry, that's what I call it. It's the 7 fixed and semi-fixed cards. That's what Robert Camp calls them. And they are the cards that are in the same position here and here. It doesn't change. Jack of hearts here and here, 8 of clubs here and here. And then the 7 of diamonds, 9 of hearts, they're interchangeable. And then the 2 of hearts, ace of clubs, they're interchangeable. That group of cards, the family of 7, that's so much easier, right? So it's just tricky. First of all, I just want to say kudos. It's tricky. It's really tricky to be one of those cards because you're an archetype. It's tricky to be every one of us, right? It's designed that way. But there are 7 divine archetypes. And I just was taking a walk one day and I downloaded this and try this out. And if you think it's true, apply this to a circle of 7 person. The king of spades represents God the Father, creator. Okay, April and May. Dun, 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 dun. So it'd be King, Queen, Jack, King of Diamonds would rule April, Queen of Diamonds, May. Yeah, right, except diamonds. Spades, diamonds, clubs, hearts. So, yeah. So the King of Spades is God the Father. Let's see, Creator God, that perfect God that can hold you and reflect you in your wholeness, in your totality. And remember, everybody's all fucked up and everything, but these are the divine archetypes. The Jack of Hearts is the Son of the Father come down, Jesus. We're all the Christ card. Think of your name followed by Christ, like Jesus Christ, Paula Christ,